Hello, my name is Michael Hansen, and this is my persuasive speech. And here are my three audience members. 1, 2, and 3. Everybody in frame there. In a survey of more than 2,000 college students in 33 different states and in 156 different campuses, the U.S. Public Interest Research Group stated that students spend on average as much as $1,200 each year just on textbooks alone. That doesn't even include supplies. In comparison, the group says that is equivalent to about 39% of tuition and fees at a community college, while that's only 14% of tuition and fees at a four-year public university. Since more and more students are attending college and these secondary schools, book companies are raising prices sky high. So why should we be punished for attending school and having to pay these hefty book fees? Textbooks should be free for students. 1, students are already paying these hefty book prices. 2, students don't buy textbooks. And 3, students are already paying too much. According to a news reporter, Ali Bidwell with the U.S. News Group, a report stated that textbooks have increased a total of 82% over just the past decade. First, students cannot afford these high book prices. So with the increase of students since over the past decade, university and secondary school, there's been such a high demand for textbooks, resulting in the price to rise as well. More than 80% of the time, the professors are the ones picking out these textbooks. But the funny thing is that they're not even the ones that have to pay for the book. According to an article published by U.S. News, Ethan Senak, a higher educated associate with the U.S. Public Interest Research Group, stated on average the textbook market is broken and students are paying the price for it. Every student has bought a textbook over the years, and they know how insanely expensive they can be. And according to a scholarly article published by Open Learning, in the U.S., students spend on average $5.5 billion a year on the required textbooks. This only includes purchases made on campuses bookstores. This clearly underestimates the overall total given the frequency at which college students learn or turn to the internet for book purchases. So online purchases at bookstores doesn't count towards this $5.5 billion, but it just includes the bookstores like Barnes & Noble at USD, for instance. There are many different ways that textbooks can be financially reduced, making it easier for college students. For instance, book exchanges are really useful. For instance, there are these book exchanges where students can rent books they need for little to no charge, besides insurance, of course, which you need to get on them, which is kind of the stickler about it. Besides that, consider how expensive tuition already is. Universities should just lend their students these textbooks that they need, similar to what they did back in high school. In review of my first main point, the cost of textbooks is just too high. Plain and simple. Students cannot afford high book prices. However, there are many ways that schools can help by making buying these textbooks easier for them. Similarly, professors don't always have time to shop around and find the most affordable textbook for their students. Therefore, students are the ones that have to suffer and pay the price, or just not buy the book at all, which some students do. For my second main point, some students don't even buy the textbook. For some students, buying textbooks has an effect on what classes they take. An example would be, say that there are 2 classes as a student that you want to take, but one class has a textbook that is required that is around $300. For another class, there's no required textbook, but it costs the same. It is clear which one the student would probably choose, and would that be the cheap one, for instance, even though they didn't really want to take that class in the first place. The U.S. News article published on January 28th, Ali Bidwell states that due to the high cost of textbooks, 65% of students say that they decided against buying a textbook for that required class. Of those students, nearly all, 94%, say that this would hurt their grade considerably. In this case, cost is obviously more important than education itself, which is sad. Have you ever walked into a class on the first day of school and found out that your professor tells you that you don't even need that textbook at all? Well, I know I have, and it's one of the most frustrating things about college. Also, according to that same article published by U.S. News, not only are students choosing not to buy textbooks or the required materials for that class, but they're also acknowledging and accepting the risk of lowering their grade by 1 to 2 letter grades just for not buying that required textbook. So not having your textbook can highly alter your grades, not only because you're not following along with the readings, but also because a lot of time the professors will have material on their tests and exams that he doesn't talk about in class that are in the book. In review, my second main point, more and more students are trying to save money by not buying textbooks, but putting their grades and education at jeopardy. Another thing that is a problem with textbook market is buying them. Hey, it's easy sometimes, but a lot of the time it's kind of a pain. Say you want to buy a book, but you want to save money. So you go out and buy the international version of the textbook, which is approximately $20 cheaper. But you get to class and you realize that that is not even close to similar than the book that you need for that class. 3. Students are already paying too much. Look back 10 years and compare the price of tuition. Students nowadays are always going to be in debt because they can't catch a financial break. Just think, how would you want to buy a $200 textbook when that $200 could go towards your tuition bill? According to the College Board, on the average 2014 to 2015 tuition increase was 3.7% at a private college and 2.9% at a public university. The 10-year historical rate increase is approximately 5%. These figures are substantially higher than the general inflation rate. If textbooks were free, then that would save students close to $1,200 per year, which is equivalent to about $5,000 for just a 4-year degree. A similar article published by U.S. News, the current student said they'd save said they'd be in debt by about $39,000 to about $42,000 with student loans by the time they graduate with just a 4-year degree, but expect to pay that off by the age of 33. This is not always the case. Students go to college for way longer than 4-year degrees, and say if you have a 10-year degree, just how long that would take to pay off. Saving that kind of money would not just help tuition, but would also make it easier for students by making it so they wouldn't have to worry about spending the money when they should be worried about their classes and having the required material that they need. To review my third main point, college or secondary school is not cheap, and making textbooks free would make students' lives just that much more easy and making it a whole different story about school. Even though I've only been in college for 1 year, I know just how much of a pain in the butt textbooks are. Not only are they financially a burden, but just getting them and having the right one is just a lot to worry about. And textbooks are overpriced, plain and simple. There are many choices than buying textbooks for school. One thing you could do is borrow textbooks from a friend, but that might always not be the smartest thing to do considering they might be in that same class and need that textbook. Another option is you could just download the PDF versions online, which are tremendously cheaper than buying the hard and cover book. But the only downside is you have to read from a computer screen. You don't actually have a physical copy to highlight in. So if you're looking to save money, don't buy new textbooks. Textbooks should be free for students. Students cannot afford the high book prices. Some students don't buy textbooks. And 3, students are already paying too much for their tuition. Thank you.